Alrighty, so Killing Floor 3 has released, and we're about 1 week into launch, and to say it's been rocky is a little bit of an understatement, okay? There are some people who have been experiencing the game, they've been loving it, and there seems to be a large amount of people who have also experienced many problems. I myself have had minimal crashes. I've had maybe 3 or 4 crashes in about my 50 hours of playing. But I have friends of mine who can't get a game. They've literally crashed 3 times within an hour. A little bit rough for them, so they're gonna come back whenever a fix is implemented. And boys, we got news. All right. Killing Floor 3 recently had a stream, Tripwire Interactive, and if you don't know, they upload most of their information on their Discord, so check out their Discord. But regardless, they just had a stream, and they went over a few things that are going to be addressed in the hotfix coming. And yes, we're finally getting a hotfix. Alright, I know hotfixes are typically quick, but apparently there's a lot of issues that they were looking into on top of the server problems. If you're a little bit out of the loop, maybe you haven't purchased Killing Floor, or maybe you're just waiting for Killing Floor 3 to be Game of the Year, okay? But Killing Floor 3 did have some server issues during the first week of launch. There was, on top of the crashes and everything, there were just server problems where you're getting in infinite queues, where you're getting kicked out for about an hour to 2 hours, I think, was one of the problems going on one of the days. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday, a little bit after launch. But issues seem to be prevalent almost everywhere, but this hotfix that is coming out next week seems to address the crashes and the primary reason for a lot of people crashing during games and while they're sitting in the home area, sanctuary, whatever it's called. But yeah, it does seem to be like it's just going to be an overall general performance fix in terms of the crashing and everything going on. On top of that, they said there's going to be some little things that are fixed throughout the patch. I don't think we got like specifics, so I think there's still going to be some bugs here and there, some janky animations. Like this is a hot fix. This isn't like an actual patch, you know? So I think it's just going to be a lot of the crashing, I hope, gets fixed, but certain stuff like the animations being really jank with the enemies and the animations on some of the weapons, aka the medical pistol that still has that weird burst fire mode, I don't think that stuff is being addressed in the next week hot patch. However, I'm glad we're getting something, alright? I'm glad we're not radio silence mode and the devs are just like gonna silently release things. We're getting information, but on top of the hotfix that's set to release, that's hopefully gonna fix the crashing problems. Now, there still might be other problems that, you know, the devs need to address, on top of, like, them adding content and everything. They went through the roadmap, and they did discuss that there are gonna be things added throughout the life cycle of Killing Floor 3 that's not directly in the roadmap. Now, I have a few theories myself, okay, but, they went through some things like when DJ Scully's gonna be added. They mentioned, the perks being separated from characters being one of their major priorities right now. That's going to be one of the first updates they do in fall, which is fall of this year. And it seems like DJ Scully's going to release along with the separation from perks. That's kind of my leading theory, and I think that's kind of like where it's sort of going towards. And then on top of that, we're also going to be getting the rearmament update, which is just going to be a bunch of weapons and a few other things, more mods. These mods aren't just going to be for the new weapons, it'll also be for some of the old weapons where necessary, I guess, is the way they put it, or where applicable, you know? So maybe we'll get like more burst fire on like pistols, or maybe we'll get like a healing grenade added to, you know, the commando weapon, something like that. Maybe we'll get something like that. On top of that, they did show images of DJ Scully. Interesting enough, they did say DJ Scully won't be like a clone or anything, sort of like how Foster is in the game, if you're a little bit of a lore head. But DJ Scully seems like they're hinting that he was on ice, aka maybe cryo chamber type of situation, and he's released similar to like Master Chief. And now he wants to go out and kill some Zeds, alright? And, yeah, I mean, DJ Scully looks pretty cool. I've not really been a fan of the previous characters in Killing Floor, like from Killing Floor 1 and 2. I don't hold any sort of attachment to any of them, but A lot of people like DJ Scully, a lot of people like Mr. Foster, so I'm glad they added those. Apparently, they're working on a lot more characters. They hinted in the live stream that there's some folders with some concepts for characters they're adding. No idea what that means, you know. Maybe we get Darcy back, or Dar, or whatever that thing was called, the robot from Killing Floor 2. Maybe we get Bad Santa. Hey, you never know. Okay, but there's some interesting things there. But on top of that, DJ Scully images also had him wielding 2 pistols. So hey, maybe I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, alright boys, but hey, maybe we get dual wield secretly added. Just saying, alright? Developers, write it down, okay? We want dual wield, okay? But, yeah. So, that's kind of the gist of everything going on with the live stream. There's a few other things like maps, and they were talking about future down the road, what they were going to do with the game. But that's the general sort of gist of the live stream. They also touched on every season having their own story attached to it, so there will be like new missions. I will say, hey, you know, let's just keep it a buck here. Those missions are kind of lame, okay? I do like the audio diaries and stuff like that, but it is just go here, pick up thing, go to another level, rinse and repeat. You know, they're not really, it's not story in terms of, you know, there's a main villain that you're going to hunt down. It's not one of those. It's very much just go here, do that, next map, you know? So I'm not really expecting too much there, but it does seem like this game is taking more of like a Destiny route, where they're going to be adding a lot of stories and having a lot of things tied to seasons. So I imagine next season, so season 2, is going to be tied around DJ Scully becoming part of the team. They also hinted at the UI system, I guess, for how you select your character and the perk. They said that's like sort of in its final touches right now, but like they said, they also have to make it so that every single character can use every single gadget from every single perk. And they're probably doing voice lines for all that, so that's probably why it's taking so long. I'm glad it's a priority. However, I do agree with what they said on the live stream. Performance is number 1 here. The performance is dog water. It does need substantial upgrades here. This is about everything that happened during the live stream. I just wanted to recap, get my thoughts and opinions out there, go through everything they did on the live stream. But seems like we're in for a rocky road for Killing Floor 3. I'm glad that this game is cooking. You know, that's one thing we can say. The game is, it's more like a seed planted in the ground, okay? And we gotta wait for the petals to bloom, alright? Where the previous Killing Floor games are kind of already fully patched flower beds, you know? We gotta let Killing Floor cook a little bit more, Killing Floor 3 cook a little bit more. And it is a rough state they released in. Hopefully they can get some fixes out a lot faster. I'd like to see hot fixes, you know, a little bit sooner, but I get it. There's probably a lot of things that go into coding and fixing hot fixes and everything like that, but I just wanted to get my thoughts and opinions, a recap of the live stream. So if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.